Hello friends, welcome to i-TUTOR NCERT series. Today we are going to discuss Class 12 Geography NCERT India, People and Economy Chapter 4 Water Resources. So let's start. Water is cyclic resource with abundant supplies on the globe. Approximately 71% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, but fresh water constitutes only about 3% of the total water. Okay, so 71% of the Earth's surface that is covered with water, but only 3% is fresh water. In fact, a very small proportion of fresh water is effectively available for human use. The availability of fresh water varies over space and time. Okay. The tension and disputes on sharing and control of this scarce resource are becoming contested issues among communities, regions, and states. The assessment, efficient use, and conservation of water therefore become necessary to ensure development. So, in this chapter, we shall discuss water resources in India, then its geographical distribution, sectoral utilization, and methods of its conservation and management. Okay. So, first one is water resource of India. India accounts for about 2.45% of the world's surface area and 4% of the world's water resources and more than 17% of the world's population. The total water available from precipitation in the country in a year is about 4,000 cubic kilometer. The availability from surface water and replenishable groundwater is 1,869 cubic kilometer. Out of this, only 60% can be put to be beneficial uses. Thus, the total utilizable water resources in the country is only 1,122 cubic kilometer. Okay, so the only total utilizable water resource in our country, that's only 1,122 cubic kilometer. Next one is surface water resources. There are four major sources of surface water. These are first one rivers, then lakes, ponds, and tanks. Okay, so these are the four major sources of surface water. In the country, there are about 10,360 rivers and their tributaries longer than 1.6 km each. The mean annual flow in all the river basins in India is estimated to be 1,869 cubic kilometer. However, due to topographical, hydrological and other constraints, only about 690 cubic kilometer, that is about 32% of the available surface water can be utilized. Okay, so only 32% of the available surface water that can be utilized. Water flow in the river depends on size of its catchment area or river basin and the rainfall within its catchment area. Okay, so the water flow in a river, it depends mainly on the size of its catchment area or the river basin and rainfall within its catchment area. Precipitation is relatively high in the catchment areas of the Ganga, the Brahmaputra and the Barak rivers. These rivers although account for only about 1/3 of the total area in the country and have 60% of the total surface water resources. Now, much of the annual water flow in the South Indian rivers like Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri has been harnessed, but it is yet to be done in the Brahmaputra and the Ganga basins. Now, groundwater resources. The total replenishable groundwater resources in the country are about 432 cubic kilometer. Okay, so the total replenishable groundwater resources in our country, that's about 432 cubic kilometer. The level of groundwater utilization is relatively high in the river basins lying in northwestern regions and parts of South India. The groundwater utilization is very high in the states of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu. Okay, so these are the main states which use groundwater. These are the states that use very much groundwater. However, there are states like Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Kerala, etc. which utilize only a small proportion of their groundwater potentials. Okay. Now, states like Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Tripura and Maharashtra, they are utilizing their groundwater resources at a moderate rate. Okay, so the states like Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu, they use a very much groundwater utilization. Then second one, Kerala, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, etc. These states use a small proportion of groundwater. Then states like Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Tripura and Maharashtra, they utilize groundwater resource at a moderate rate. If the present trends continues, the demands for water would need the supplies, and such situation will be detrimental to development and can cause social upheaval and disruptions. Now, lagoons and backwaters. India has a vast coastline and the coast is very indented in some states. Due to this, a number of lagoons and lakes have formed. The states like Kerala, Odisha and West Bengal have vast surface water resources in these lagoons and lakes. Although water is generally brackish in these water bodies, it is used for fishing and irrigation certain varieties of paddy crops, coconut, etc. Okay, so this water, this can be used for fishing and irrigating certain varieties of paddy crops and coconuts. Now, water demand and utilization. India has traditionally been an agrarian economy and about 2/3 of its population have been dependent on agriculture. Hence, development of irrigation to increase agriculture production has been assigned a very high priority in the 5-year plans and multi-purpose river valley projects like the Bhakranangal, Hirakud, Damodar Valley, Nagarjuna Sagar, Indira Gandhi Canal Project, etc. Okay, so we know India has traditionally been an agrarian economy and 2/3 of its population they are depending on agriculture, and also development of irrigation to increase agriculture product has been assigned a very high priority in the 5-year plans and the multi-purpose river valley projects. Examples: Bhakranangal, Hirakud, Damodar Valley, Nagarjuna Sagar, then Indira Gandhi Canal Project, etc. Okay. Now, agriculture accounts for most of the surface and groundwater utilization, and it accounts for 89% of the surface water and 92% of the groundwater utilization. Okay, so the agriculture accounts for 89% of surface water and 92% of the groundwater. While the share of industrial sector is limited to 2% of the surface water utilization and 5% of the groundwater, the share of domestic sector is higher, that is 9% in surface water utilization as compared to groundwater. The share of agriculture sector in total water utilization is much higher than other sectors. Okay, so the share of agriculture sector in total water utilization, that is much higher than the other sectors. However, in future with development, the shares of industrial and domestic sectors in the country are likely to increase. Now, demand of water for irrigation. In agriculture, water is mainly used for irrigation. Irrigation is needed because of spatio-temporal variability in rainfall in the country. The large tracts of the country are deficient in rainfall and are drought prone. Northwestern India and the Deccan Plateau constitute such areas. Okay, so the Northwestern India and the Deccan Plateau area. Okay, so this area constitute for the large tracts of country with deficient rainfall and also drought prone. Winter and summer seasons are more or less dry in most part of the country. Hence, it is difficult to practice agriculture without assuring irrigation during dry seasons. Okay, so we should focus on the irrigation project also. Even in the areas of ample rainfall like West Bengal and Bihar, breaks in monsoon or its failure creates dry spells detrimental for agriculture. Okay, so these states, that is West Bengal and Bihar, they have abundant rainfall, but sometimes the breaks in monsoon, it creates or its failure creates dry spells and it detrimental for the agriculture. Water need of certain crops also makes irrigation necessary. For instance, water requirement of rice, sugarcane, jute, etc. is very high, which can be met only through irrigation. Okay, so for certain crops or certain crops, they need irrigation necessary. Examples: rice, sugarcane, jute, etc. Okay, so they need very high, which can met only through irrigation. Now, provisions of irrigation makes multiple cropping possible. It has also been found that irrigated lands have higher agricultural productivity than unirrigated land. Okay, so the irrigated lands, they have higher agricultural productivity than unirrigated land. Further, the high yielding varieties of crops need a regular moisture supply, which is made possible only by developed irrigation systems. In fact, this is why that Green Revolution strategy of agriculture development in the country has largely been successful in Punjab, Haryana and the Western Uttar Pradesh. In Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, more than 85% of the net sown area is under irrigation. Wheat and rice are grown mainly with the help of irrigation in these states. Of the total net irrigated area, 76.1% in the Punjab and 51.3% in Haryana are irrigated through wells and tube wells. Okay, so the total net irrigated area 76.1% in Punjab and 51.3% in Haryana, they are irrigated through wells and tube wells. This shows that these states utilize a large proportion of their groundwater potential, which has resulted in groundwater depletion in these states. Now, the overuse of groundwater resources. This has led to the decline in groundwater tables in these states. In fact, over withdrawals in some states like Rajasthan and Maharashtra has increased fluoride concentration in groundwater. And this practice has led to increase in concentration of arsenic in parts of West Bengal and Bihar. Okay. Now, emerging water problems. The per capita availability of water is dwindling day by day due to increase in population. The available water resources are also getting polluted with industrial, agriculture and domestic effluents, and this in turn is further limited the availability of usable water resources. Now, deterioration of water quality. Water quality refers to the purity of water or water without unwanted foreign substances. Okay, so what is water quality? It refers to the purity of water or the water without unwanted foreign substance. Sorry. Water gets polluted by foreign matters such as microorganisms, chemicals, industrial and other waste. Such matters deteriorate the quality of water and render it unfit for human use. When toxic substance enters lakes, streams, rivers, oceans and other water bodies, they get dissolved or lie suspended in water. This results in pollution of water, whereby quality of the water deteriorates, affecting aquatic systems. Sometimes these pollutants also seep down the pollute groundwater. Okay. Next one is the water conservation and management. Since there is a declining availability of fresh water and increasing demand, the need has arisen to conserve and effectively manage this precious life-giving resource for sustainable development. Given that water availability from sea or ocean due to high cost of desalination is considered negligible, then India has to take quick steps and make effective policies and laws and adopt effective measures for its conservation. Okay, so we should take quick steps and make effective policies on laws and adopt effective measures for its conservation. Besides developing water-saving technologies and methods, attempts are also to be made to prevent the pollution. Okay, there is need to encourage watershed development, rainwater harvesting, water recycling and reuse, and conjunctive use of water for sustaining water supply in long run. Okay, so apart this, encouraging watershed development, rainwater harvesting, water recycling and reuse, then conjunctive use of water for sustaining water supply in long term. Now, prevention of water pollution. Available water resources are degrading rapidly. The major rivers of the country generally retain better water quality in less densely populated upper stretches in hilly areas. In plains, river water is used intensively for irrigation, drinking, domestic and industrial purpose. The drains carrying agriculture, that is fertilizers and insecticides, then domestic, solid and liquid waste and industrial effluents that join the rivers. the concentration of pollutants in rivers especially remains very high during the summer season when the flow of water is low. Okay, so the concentration of pollutants, that's especially very high during the summer season because the flow of water is very low on that time. The Central Pollution Control Board (CPCB), in collaborate with the State Pollution Control Board, has been monitoring water quality of national aquatic resources at 507 stations. The data obtained from these stations shows that the organic and bacterial contamination continue to be a main source of pollution in rivers. Okay, so the organic and bacterial contamination, that is the main source of pollution in rivers. The Yamuna River is the most polluted river in the country between Delhi and Etawah. Other severely polluted rivers are the Sabarmati at Ahmedabad, the Gomati at Lucknow, the Kali, the Adaya, the Coombe, that is entire stretches, then Vaigai at Madurai and Musi of Hyderabad, and the Ganga at Kanpur and Varanasi. Okay, so these are some of the important rivers which are severely polluted. Groundwater pollution has occurred due to high concentration of heavy or toxic metals, fluoride and nitrates at different parts of the country. Okay, so the groundwater is also polluting because of the heavy or toxic metals, fluorides and nitrates at different parts of the country. The legislative provisions such as Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, then the Environment Protection Act 1986, they have not been implemented effectively. The result is that in 1997, 251 polluting industries were located along the rivers and lakes. The Water Cess Act 1977, meant to reduce pollution, has also made marginal impacts. There is a strong need to generate public awareness about importance of water and impacts of water pollution. The public awareness and action can be very effective in reducing the pollutants from agricultural activities, domestic and industrial discharges. Now, recycle and reuse of water. Another way through which we can improve fresh water availability is by recycle and reuse. Use of water of lesser quality such as reclaimed wastewater would be an attractive option for industries for cooling and firefighting to reduce their water cost. Similarly, in urban areas, water after bathing and washing utensils can be used for gardening. Water used for washing vehicles can also be used for gardening. This would conserve better quality of water for drinking purposes. Currently, recycling of water is practiced on a limited scale. However, there is enormous scope for replenishing water through recycling. Now, watershed management. Watershed management basically refers to the efficient management and conservation of surface and groundwater resources. Okay, so what is watershed management? It refers to the efficient management and conservation of surface and groundwater resources. It involves prevention of runoff and storage and recharge of groundwater through various methods like percolation tanks, recharge walls, etc. Now, however, in broad sense, watershed management includes conservation, regeneration and judicious use of all resources, that is natural, like land, water, planets and animals, then human, within a watershed. Watershed management aims at bringing about balance between natural resources on the one hand and society on the other. Okay, so it brings about the balance between natural resources on the one hand and society on the other hand. The successful of watershed development largely depends upon community participation. The central and state governments have initiated many watershed development and management programs in the country. Some of these are being implemented by non-governmental organizations also. Hariyali, that's a watershed development project sponsored by the central government which aims at enabling the rural population to conserve water for drinking, irrigation, fisheries and afforestation. Okay, so Hariyali is a watershed development project sponsored by the central government. And what is its aim? It aims at enabling the rural population to conserve water for drinking, irrigation, fisheries and afforestation. Now, the project is being executed by Gram Panchayats with people's participation. Okay, so that's about Hariyali. Next one, the Niru Miru, that means water and you. This program in Andhra Pradesh and Arvari Pani Sansar, that's in Alwar, Rajasthan, have taken up constructions of various water harvesting structures such as percolation tanks, dugout ponds, it is called Johat, then check dams, etc. through people's participation. Tamil Nadu has made water harvesting structures in the houses compulsory. No building can be constructed without making structures for water harvesting. Okay, so the Tamil Nadu government, they made water harvesting structures in the houses compulsory. That means no building can be constructed without making structure of water harvesting. The watershed development projects in some areas have been successful in rejuvenating environment and economy. However, there are only a few success stories. In majority of the cases, the program is still in its nascent stage. There is a need to generate awareness regarding benefits of watershed development and management among people in the country. And through this integrated water resource management approach, water availability can be ensured on a sustainable basis. Now, rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a method to capture and store rainwater for various uses. Okay, so it's a method to capture and store rainwater for various uses. It is also used to recharge groundwater aquifers. It is a low-cost and eco-friendly technique for preserving every drop of water by guiding the rainwater to borewells, pits, and wells. Rainwater harvesting increases water availability, checks the declining groundwater table, improves the quality of groundwater through dilution of contaminants like fluoride and nitrates, and it also prevents soil erosion and flooding and arrests the saltwater intrusion in coastal areas if used to recharge aquifers. Okay, so these are some of the uses of rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting has been practiced through various methods by different communities in the country for a long time. Traditional rainwater harvesting in rural areas is done by using surface storage bodies like lakes, ponds, irrigation tanks, etc. In Rajasthan, rainwater harvesting structures locally known as kund or tanga. It's covered underground tank. Okay, the tanga means it's a covered underground tank, and they are constructed near or in the house or the village to store harvesting rainwater. Now, there is a wide scope to use rainwater harvesting technique to conserve precious water resource. It can be done by harvesting rainwater on rooftops and open spaces. Harvesting rainwater also decreases the community dependence on groundwater for domestic use. Besides bridging the demand-supply gap, it can also save energy to pump groundwater as recharge lead to rise in groundwater table. These days, rainwater harvesting is being taken up on massive scale in many states in the country. Okay, so today many states following this technique. Urban areas can specifically benefit from rainwater harvesting as water demand has already outstripped supply in most of the cities and towns. Apart from the above mentioned factors, the issue of desalination of water, particularly in coastal areas, and brackish water in arid and semi-arid areas, transform of water from water surplus areas to water deficient areas through interlinking of rivers can be important remedies for solving water problems in India. Okay, so these are some of the methods to conserve water. Now, however, the most important issues from the point of view of industrial uses, household and communities is pricing of water. Okay, so that's about the chapter. If you have any doubts, you can comment below. For more videos, do like, share, subscribe.